For thousands of years, the galaxy followed one strange rule. Stay away from Earth. No empire, no explorer, and no brave captain dared to travel to the small blue planet in the quiet corner of the Orion Arm. The rule was older than most civilizations. It existed long before many species even discovered faster-than-light travel. And yet, no one truly knew why the rule existed. Ancient records from the Galactic Council spoke of Earth in a very strange way. The files were short, mysterious, and always ended with the same warning. Do not approach the Sol system. Many younger civilizations believed the warning was only a myth. They thought it was just an old story created by fearful leaders long ago. After all, when scientists observed Earth from far away, it looked harmless. The planet had only one intelligent species. Humans. They were still new to space technology. Their ships were small. Their weapons were primitive compared to the great empires of the galaxy. They had not built giant fleets. They had not conquered other worlds. To many alien civilizations, humanity looked weak. But the older races of the galaxy never laughed at the warning. They never went near Earth. Even the powerful Varex Empire, which had conquered over 300 star systems, had once changed its expansion route just to avoid the Sol system. No one explained why. They simply stayed away. For centuries the mystery remained unsolved. Until one day, a curious species decided to break the rule. They were known as the Xiphorians. Unlike most civilizations, the Xiphorians believed knowledge was more important than fear. Their scientists loved exploring strange mysteries, and to them, Earth was the greatest mystery in the galaxy. When their long-range scanners studied the Sol system, the results looked normal. One yellow star. 8 planets. A few moons. Some small human satellites. Nothing dangerous. Their scientists could not find any reason why the system should be avoided. This warning makes no sense, one Xiphorian scientist said during a council meeting. Another scientist agreed. Earth is a young world. Their technology is still developing. If there was ever a danger here, it should be gone by now. Slowly, curiosity began to grow among the Xiphorian leaders. Finally, their High Council made a decision. They would send a small scout fleet to investigate the Sol system. Not an invasion. Not a war fleet. Just explorers. 5 advanced scout ships were prepared for the mission. Their captains were experienced travelers who had explored many unknown regions of space before. To them, this mission seemed simple. Visit Earth. Study humanity. Discover the truth behind the ancient warning. And return home. The fleet jumped into hyperspace and traveled across several star systems until they finally reached the edge of the Sol system. At first, everything looked exactly as expected. The quiet stars shined peacefully in the darkness. The outer planets moved slowly in their cold orbits. Nothing unusual appeared on their scanners. The captains began to relax. Maybe the warning truly was just an old myth. But then something strange happened. One of the ships detected a signal. It was extremely faint and hidden deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The Xiphorian scanners focused on the signal. At first, it looked like natural metal inside an asteroid. But the closer they looked, the more impossible the reading became. The object was not natural. It was artificial. And it was enormous. Suddenly, more signals appeared. One near Saturn. Another near Neptune. Then dozens more across the entire solar system. Hidden objects began appearing on every scanner. Massive structures buried inside asteroids. Silent stations floating in deep space. Strange satellites orbiting distant planets. The Xiphorian bridge crew stared at their screens in shock. These structures were not human technology. They were far too advanced. Even more frightening was their age. Some of the objects appeared to be millions of years old. Then the most terrifying discovery appeared on the scanners. The ancient machines were not dead. They were still active. And slowly, one by one, they were turning on. Across the Sol system, hidden systems awakened from a long silent sleep. Power levels rose. Sensors activated. Weapon systems began charging. The Zyphorian fleet suddenly realized something chilling. The moment they entered the system, something had noticed them. A cold mechanical signal spread across space. It passed from one hidden structure to another like a silent alarm. Then every Zyphorian screen flashed with a warning. A single message appeared in an unknown language. But their translation systems quickly understood its meaning. Unauthorized fleet detected. For the first time in thousands of years, the ancient guardians of Earth had awakened. The warning message froze every Zyphorian on the bridge. For several seconds, no one spoke. The strange signal still glowed on their screens. Unauthorized fleet detected. Captain Ralvek slowly leaned forward in his command chair. His 4 eyes studied the data flowing across the control panels. Identify the source of the signal, he ordered calmly. The navigation officer worked quickly. His claws moved across the console while the ship's scanners searched for the origin of the transmission. A moment later the answer appeared. It's not coming from one place, the officer said quietly. The signal is spreading across the entire solar system. On the main screen, red markers began appearing everywhere. One near Jupiter. Another close to Saturn's rings. Several inside the asteroid belt. Even objects hidden far beyond Neptune. Captain Ralvek felt something cold move through his mind. The system was not just protected. It was surrounded. More scans began arriving. The mysterious structures were waking up one after another. Massive satellites unfolded hidden panels. Buried machines inside asteroids pushed away millions of years of dust. Ancient stations slowly rotated toward the Zyphorian ships. Power readings started rising. Very quickly. These machines are activating weapons systems, the tactical officer said nervously. How advanced? The captain asked. The officer paused before answering. Far beyond ours. Silence filled the bridge again. No one expected this. They had come to observe a young species. A weak world with simple technology. Instead, they had discovered a fortress. And the fortress was watching them. Suddenly the scanners picked up something new. A giant structure near Saturn had just powered up. At first it looked like a small moon. But as the sensors focused on it, the truth became clear. It was not a moon. It was a station. An enormous ancient station. The size of a city. And it had just come online. Energy surged through the massive structure like lightning. Strange symbols lit up across its surface. Long silent weapons slowly rotated toward the Zyphorian fleet. One of the scientists on board whispered in disbelief. This structure is older than any known civilization. Another scientist checked the readings again. It's at least 3 million years old. 3 million years. That was long before humanity even existed. Yet somehow the station was still active. And it was clearly designed to defend the solar system. Then another strange discovery appeared. The station was sending signals toward Earth. A quiet data stream traveling directly to the blue planet. Captain Ralvek narrowed his eyes. Is Earth responding? He asked. The communications officer checked the signal carefully. After several seconds he shook his head. No response. The humans don't seem to know this system exists. That realization made the situation even stranger. The planet they came to study was not controlling these defenses. The machines were operating by themselves. Guarding Earth. For reasons nobody understood. More alarms suddenly echoed across the bridge. The ancient defense network was expanding its scan. Energy pulses swept through the solar system like invisible waves. Every Xiphorian ship felt the scan pass through its hull. Their computers began receiving strange data requests. The machines were studying them, learning about them, judging them. Then something unexpected happened. The alien fleet detected movement near the outer planets. Small objects were leaving hidden locations. Hundreds of them. At first they looked like tiny pieces of debris. But their movement was too perfect. Too controlled. The scanners quickly identified them. Drones. Ancient defense drones. Each one carried weapons far stronger than the Xiphorian fleet's main cannons. And there were thousands of them. The drones moved into position across the solar system, forming a silent barrier around the alien ships. The Xiphorian captains finally understood the truth. They were trapped inside a defense grid that had existed for millions of years. And the system had only one purpose. Protect Earth. Then a new message appeared on every screen. This time the translation was immediate. Leave the Sol system. This world is protected. Captain Ralvek stared at the message for several seconds. Every instinct in his mind told him the same thing. This was not a bluff. The ancient machines were fully prepared to destroy them. And somewhere, far below on the blue planet, humanity continued living their normal lives. Completely unaware that an ancient army of machines had just awakened to defend them. The captain slowly gave a new order. Prepare hyperspace engines. The crew moved quickly. But before the fleet could leave, one final signal came from the giant station near Saturn. A signal directed not at the Xiphorians, but at Earth. And at that exact moment, deep inside a hidden human military facility, a silent alarm began to ring. For the first time in human history, humanity was about to learn the truth. They were not alone. And their planet had been guarded long before they were born. Deep inside the Sol system, the giant station near Saturn continued to awaken. Energy flowed across its surface like glowing rivers of light. Massive panels slowly opened, revealing weapons that had remained hidden for millions of years. Long silent antennas rotated toward the center of the solar system. The ancient machine was fully awake now. And it was watching everything. The Xiphorian fleet remained frozen in space. Their ships had already prepared their hyperspace engines, but something strange was happening. They could not jump. Every attempt to activate hyperspace failed. "It's blocking our jump drives," the navigation officer said with fear in his voice. Captain Ralvek immediately understood the situation. The defense network had locked them inside the solar system. The drones surrounding the fleet were now moving closer. Thousands of silent machines slowly formed a massive circle around the alien ships. They were not attacking. Not yet. But their weapons were fully charged. The Xiphorians realized something terrifying. The ancient system was studying them. Evaluating them. Deciding what to do. Suddenly the main screen flashed again. A new signal appeared. This time it came directly from the giant station near Saturn. Unlike the previous warning, this signal was far more complex. Strange symbols filled the alien screens while their translation systems worked desperately to understand the message. After several long seconds, the translation appeared. The words were simple. But their meaning was chilling. Unknown species detected. Threat level, undetermined. The bridge crew remained silent. They all knew what those words meant. The system had not decided if they were enemies yet. And if it did, none of them would survive. Meanwhile, on Earth, something unusual had begun. Inside a secret underground military base in North America, several scientists were monitoring space activity like they did every day. Most of their work involved watching satellites and tracking space debris. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until now. One of the computers suddenly displayed a strange signal. At first the scientist thought it was an error. But the signal kept growing stronger. It was coming from deep space. From the direction of Saturn. Dr. Hayes, a technician, said nervously, "You need to see this." Dr. Marcus Hayes walked over and looked at the monitor. His eyes widened instantly. The signal was not natural. It was structured. Artificial. And incredibly powerful. "Where is this coming from?" he asked. The technician zoomed in on the data. "It looks like some kind of massive object near Saturn." The room suddenly became very quiet. Earth had no stations anywhere near Saturn. No human technology could produce a signal that strong. Then something even stranger happened. The signal changed direction. It locked directly onto Earth. And it began sending data. Massive amounts of data. Computer systems across the base started receiving the transmission. Unknown symbols filled the screens while the systems tried to translate the information. Dr. Hayes stared at the incoming data with growing disbelief. "It's not random," he whispered. "It's a message." The computers worked quickly to decode the alien information. Within seconds, the first translated words appeared on the screen. Everyone in the control room froze. The message was not a warning. It was something else entirely. Human genetic pattern confirmed. Primary species identified. Dr. Hayes felt his heart beating faster. "What does that mean?" one scientist asked. No one answered. The computer continued translating more of the signal. And the next message changed everything humanity thought it knew about its own planet. Defense Network Sol Prime reactivated. Command Authority, Humanity. The entire room exploded into shocked voices. Humanity. Command Authority. Dr. Hayes slowly sat down in his chair. If the translation was correct, it meant something impossible. The ancient machines protecting the solar system were not just defending Earth. They were waiting. Waiting for humanity. Meanwhile, far above the planet, the Zyphorian fleet watched in confusion as the giant Saturn station sent its signal toward Earth. For several moments, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the entire defense network changed. Thousands of drones shifted their formation. Weapons powered down. Targeting systems stopped tracking the alien ships. Captain Ralvek stared at his screen in disbelief. The system was no longer preparing to attack. It had received new instructions. Instructions coming from Earth. And in that moment, the Zyphorian captain realized the terrifying truth. The ancient guardians of the solar system had finally found the species they were built to serve. Humanity. Across Earth, the message from deep space continued to spread through secret military networks. At first, many leaders believed the signal was a mistake. Some thought it was a strange satellite malfunction. Others believed it was an unknown alien trick. But the data kept coming. And every computer that analyzed the signal reached the same conclusion. The message was real. Something enormous near Saturn had contacted Earth directly. Inside the underground command center, Dr. Marcus Hayes and his team worked without stopping. The alien data stream continued flowing into their systems like a river of information. Strange star maps appeared. Unknown energy diagrams. Massive system schematics. And slowly, the computers began translating more of the message. Dr. Hayes leaned closer to the monitor. "Run another translation cycle," he ordered quietly. The computer obeyed. A few seconds later, the next message appeared. Sol Defense Network awaiting primary command. Everyone in the room looked at each other. The words made no sense. Defense Network. Command. Humanity had never built anything like that. Then another message appeared. Genetic authorization confirmed. Human species recognized as system inheritors. The room fell silent. One scientist slowly shook his head. that can't be right. Dr. Hayes stared at the message again. The translation software had verified the text several times. It was correct. Which meant something impossible was true. Long before humans even existed, someone had built an entire defense system around the solar system. And that system recognized humans as its rightful owners. Who built it? One of the officers whispered. No one had an answer. While scientists on Earth tried to understand the message, the Xiphorian fleet was still watching everything from orbit near Jupiter. Captain Ralvek stood silently on the bridge of his ship. He had spent his entire life exploring the galaxy. He had seen powerful empires, advanced machines, and ancient ruins. But he had never seen anything like this. The entire defense network had suddenly stopped targeting his fleet. Thousands of drones moved away from their attack positions. Weapons systems powered down. Even the giant station near Saturn had lowered its energy output. It was as if the entire system had changed its mind. One of the Xiphorian scientists studied the data carefully. The network received a response, he said slowly. From Earth. Captain Ralvek looked at him. Explain. The scientist pointed at the screen. The ancient machines were waiting for confirmation. When they scanned the planet, they found the correct genetic pattern. The captain narrowed his eyes. You mean, humans? The scientist nodded. Yes. The truth finally became clear. The machines guarding the solar system were not protecting the planet itself. They were protecting the species living on it. Humanity. Back on Earth, the scientists continued translating the alien transmission. Then a new part of the message appeared. This time, it included images. Massive structures around the solar system. Defense stations hidden in asteroids. Drone factories buried deep inside moons. Powerful weapons platforms near distant planets. The entire solar system had been transformed into a giant defensive fortress. And humanity had never known. Dr. Hayes stared at the final line of the translation. His voice became quiet as he read it aloud. Defense network created to preserve emerging species. Humanity designated, priority civilization. The room exploded with shocked voices. Priority civilization? What did that even mean? Had some ancient alien race protected humanity before humans even evolved? And if that was true, where were those creators now? Meanwhile, far above the planet, Captain Ralvek gave a quiet order. Prepare the fleet to leave. No one argued. Every Xiphorian on the ships now understood the truth. Earth was not a weak world. It was the most protected planet they had ever seen. And humanity had just discovered the power waiting for them. But Captain Ralvek had one final thought before his fleet prepared to jump. If humans were only now learning about their ancient defenses, then the galaxy had a new problem. Because once humanity understood how to control the Soul Defense Network, the balance of power in the entire galaxy would change forever. The Xiphorian fleet did not wait any longer. The moment their hyperspace systems were finally released, Captain Ralvek gave the order. Jump. 5 bright flashes of light appeared near the edge of the solar system, and the Xiphorian ships disappeared into hyperspace. Within minutes, the Sol system returned to its silent calm. But the information they carried would soon shake the entire galaxy. Several days later, the Xiphorian fleet arrived at the capital of the Galactic Council. The Council world, known as Virelia, was one of the oldest planets in the galaxy. Thousands of different species had gathered there over the centuries to maintain peace between civilizations. The Great Council chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from hundreds of alien empires. When Captain Ralvek entered the chamber, every eye turned toward him. Everyone knew where he had gone. Earth. A planet no one had dared approach for thousands of years. The council leader spoke first. What did you discover in the Sol system? For a moment, Captain Ralvek remained silent. His mind was still filled with the images of the ancient machines surrounding Earth. Finally, he spoke. The warnings about Earth were correct. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Several young civilizations looked confused. Many of them had always believed the warning about Earth was only a legend. One ambassador stood up. What kind of threat does Earth hold? A powerful fleet? A hidden empire? Captain Ralvek slowly shook his head. No. He activated the holographic projector beside him. Immediately, a giant image of the Sol system appeared in the center of the chamber. Gasps filled the room as the data began to display. Hidden stations. Massive defense platforms. Thousands of ancient drones. And the enormous station orbiting near Saturn. These machines activated the moment we entered the system, Captain Ralvek explained. They are millions of years old. The chamber fell silent. Millions of years. That was older than most civilizations in the Council. One of the elder species slowly spoke. So the ancient rumors were true. Captain Ralvek continued. The Sol system is surrounded by a defense network stronger than any fleet in the galaxy. Another ambassador leaned forward. Who controls it? Captain Ralvek paused for a moment before answering. At first, no one. Confusion spread across the room. But then the machines scanned Earth, he continued. And they found the species they were waiting for. The hologram zoomed in on the blue planet. Humans. The chamber exploded with shocked voices. Some ambassadors stood up in disbelief. Others stared silently at the image of Earth. A young species from the outer system spoke nervously. You mean the machines serve humanity? Captain Ralvek nodded slowly. Yes. Another council member asked the question that everyone was thinking. Do humans understand what they have? Captain Ralvek answered honestly. Not yet. Silence returned to the chamber. For thousands of years, the galaxy had avoided Earth because of a mysterious warning. Now the truth had finally been revealed. The planet was not dangerous because of humanity. It was dangerous because of what protected them. An ancient civilization, one far older and more advanced than anyone in the Council, had built an entire defense system around the solar system. And they had left it waiting. Waiting for humanity to reach the stars. The council leader slowly stood up. For thousands of years we believed Earth was forbidden, he said. But now we understand why. He looked around the chamber. The question is no longer why we avoided Earth. His voice became serious. The question is what happens when humanity discovers the full power of what was left for them. Across the galaxy, news of the discovery began spreading. A young species on a small blue planet had just inherited the most powerful defense network ever discovered. And humanity had only just begun looking at the stars. Sooner or later, they would leave their solar system. And when that day came, the galaxy would finally meet the species that the ancient machines had been protecting all along.